Hi, Abby, and happy birthday. I hate everything, so I'm going to read something that I know that you like. Let's water shit down. This is a story about rabbits and how nothing bad ever happens to rabbits because they're so cute. I'm just going to flip through a random page and read, I don't know, a couple pages or so. I've never read the book. Maybe I'll like it after this. I think this is actually yours. I found it on Snyder's bookshelf. Oh, be quiet, answered Hazel. I'm going to sleep. During Silflay next morning, with Pipkin for a respectful chorus, he told the others about his visit to the farm. As he had expected, Bigwig jumped at the idea of a raid to free the hutch rabbits. It can't go wrong, he said. It's a splendid idea, Hazel. I don't know how you open a hutch, but Blackberry will see to that. What annoys me is to think you ran from a cat. A good rabbit's a match for a cat any day. My mother went for one once. And she fairly gave it something to remember. I can tell you, scratched its fur out like willow herb in autumn. Right. Just leave the farm cats to me and one or two of the others. Blackberry took a little more convincing, but he, like Bigwig and Hazel himself, was secretly disappointed not to have gone on the expedition with Holly. And when the other two pointed out that they were relying on him to tell them how to get the hutch open, he agreed to come. Do we need to take everyone? He asked. You say the dog's tied up, and I suppose there can't be more than 3 cats. Too many rabbits will only be a nuisance in the dark. Someone will get lost, and we shall have to spend time looking for him. Well, Dandelion, Speedwell, and Hawkbit, then. There's so many characters, said Bigwig, and leave the others behind. Do you mean to go tonight, Hazel Ra? Yes, the sooner the better, said Hazel. Get hold of those 3 and tell them. Pity it's going to be dark. We could have taken Kihar. He'd have enjoyed it. However, their hopes for that night were disappointed, for the rain returned before dusk, settling in on a northwest wind and carrying up the hill the sweet, sour smell of flowering privet from cottage hedges below. Hazel sat on the bank until the light had quite faded. At last, when it was clear that the rain was going to stay for the night, he joined the others in the honeycomb. They had persuaded Kihar to come down out of the wind and wet. And one of the dandelions tells of El Arira was followed by an extraordinary story that left everyone mystified but fascinated. About a time when Frith had to go away on a journey, leaving the whole world to be covered with rain. But a man built with a great floating hutch that held all the animals and birds until Frith returned and let them out. It won't happen tonight, will it, Hazel Ra? Asked Pipkin, listening to the rain in the beech leaves outside. There's no hutch here. Kehar'll fly up to the moon. Haleo Roo, said Bluebell. And you can come down on Bigwig's head like a birch branch in the frost. But there's time to go to sleep first. Before Fiver slept, however, he talked again to Hazel about the raid. I suppose it's no good asking you not to go, he said. Look here, answered Hazel. Have you got one of your bad turns about the farm? If you have, why not say so straight out? Then we'd all know where we were. I have no feelings about the farm one way or the other, said Fiver. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's all right. The feelings come when they will. They don't always come. Not for Lindry, not for the crow. If it comes to that, I've no idea what's happening to Holly and the others. It might be good or bad, but there's something that frightens me about you yourself, Hazel. Just you, not any of the others. You're all alone, sharp and clear, like a dead branch against the sky. Well, if you mean you can see trouble for me and not for any of the others, tell them I'll leave it to them to decide whether I ought to keep out of it. But that's giving up a lot, Fibber, you know? Even with your word for it, someone's bound to think I'm afraid. Well, I say it's not worth the risk, Hazel. Why not wait for Holly to come back? That's all we have to do. I'll be snared if I wait for Holly. Can't you see that's the very thing I want is to have these does here when he comes back? But look, Fibber, I'll tell you what. I've come to trust you so much that I'll take the greatest care. In fact, I won't even go into the farmyard myself. I'll stay outside, at the top of the lane. And if that's not meeting your fears halfway, then I don't know what is. Dang, somebody about to get betrayed. Fibber said no more, and Hazel turned his thoughts to the raid and the difficulty he foresaw of getting the hutch rabbits to go the distance back to the warren. The next day was bright and dry, with a fresh wind that cleared up what reminded of the wet. The clouds came racing over the ridge from the south as they had on the May evening when Hazel first climbed the down. But now they were higher and smaller, settling at last into a mackerel sky like a beach at low tide. Hazel took Bigwig and Blackberry to the edge of the escarpment, whence they could look across the nut hanger on its little hill. He described the approach and went on to explain how the rabbit hutch was to be found. Bigwig was in high spirits. The wind and the prospect of action excited him, and he spent some time with Dandelion, Hawkbit, and Speedwell, pretending to be a cat and encouraging them to attack him as realistically as they could. Rabbits in battle training. Hazel, whose talk with Fibber had somewhat clouded him, recovered as he watched them tussling over the grass, and ended by joining himself first as an attacker and then as the cat, staring and quivering for all the world like the nut-hanger Tabby. I shall be disappointed if we don't meet a cat after all this, said Dandelion, as he waited for his turn to run at a fallen beech branch from one side, claw it twice, and dash out again. I feel a really dangerous animal. You vatch him, Meester Dando, said Carr, who was hunting for snails in the grass nearby. Mr. Pigvig, Evant, you... Yeah, I guess he's speaking in an accent. You think of an ping yoke make you brave. I'm just going to skip that part. I don't know what's going on.